Diana was excited about the prospect of a new public role, but she also desperately wanted a private life. The question was how. The answer came in the form of an old friend of her father's, Harrods owner Mohammed Al Fayed. The previous October, he'd persuaded her to attend a book launch at his store. Now, the man who claimed to have helped topple the Tory government made her an offer.
Mohammed said, well, what are you going to do for the summer? Why don't you bring your sons and come down to Saint-Tropez? And I think summers were always a bit difficult for her. After the divorce, she couldn't go to Balmoral, she couldn't go to Highgrove. You have two strapping teenage sons. What do you do with them in the middle of summer?
I said, you know, what are you getting yourself into? Because 2 months before that, she told me that Mohammed Al Fayed had offered to pay £25,000 to any charity of her choice if she would open 2 elevators, new lifts in Harrods. So she made a joke. She said, I told him, contact my ex-sister-in-law. She might be more interested in me. She said, I don't want to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did say I thought she'd have a wonderful holiday, and I hoped very much that this could be achieved without a great deal of unwelcome press attention.
Yeah, so just be careful of this privacy. Don't tell anybody that you're invited by Mohammed Al Fayed. It may not go down well in the British society because of his controversial figure. He hasn't been given British nationality after trying for over 10 years. So she said, I understand it's very private, so well, let's keep it that way.
The Al Fayeds devised a plan to spirit Diana and the 2 young princes down to Saint-Tropez. Prince Charles had given permission for the trip. His sons had royal bodyguards. But the princess, stripped of her royal title, had no official protection, and only the super-rich could now supply the privacy she craved. On July the 11th, a helicopter, a private jet, a limousine, and finally a motor launch delivered the party to the Al Fayed's secluded villa on the coast. But as the boat tied up, the press were already watching them.
They arrived at the jetty over there. In Saint-Tropez, we're a little group of half a dozen local photographers, and we knew as soon as they arrived. The word spread very quickly.
And it was well into Saturday afternoon that I had the first press call saying, does Mr. Al Fayed have a yacht called Saxara? So I said no, but he does have a teak schooner called Saqqara. So they said, well, we've got a picture of a chap who looks like him and somebody who looks like the Princess of Wales on the deck of this schooner.
Once she became aware that the press had discovered her, Diana's attitude towards the cameras seemed to change.
She used to come down the jetty, get onto the Saqqara, Mohammed Al Fayed's boat, and take a trip round the bay with the boys, swimming, jet skiing, diving. It was like a huge photo call every day.
There then ensued this press siege, and at one stage, Mohammed had 20 security people deployed night and day on the estate. And still, in the middle of the night, men in designer clothes with Nikons round their neck were crawling through the undergrowth in order to what? Try and get close to the buildings where they were.
Far from escaping the paparazzi, the princess found herself at the center of press attention. Within a day of their arrival, the French resort was heaving with photographers and reporters. Not only had Diana and the princes been discovered on the Med, their host could hardly have been more controversial.
I remember writing at the time that the Princess of Wales seemed to design her personal publicity to cause maximum embarrassment to the royal family. She seemed to didn't care about anything as long as her own wishes and transient emotions were gratified. And that, I think, was rather frightening to contemplate.
Mohammed and the princess attempted to deal with the press intrusion in a good-humoured way. I mean, they waved and then said, please, would you just give us some space? And these appeals were treated with either dumb insolence or amused contempt.
3 days into her holiday, exasperated, the princess called an extraordinary waterborne news conference.
Diana took a little boat and went over there to see the British press, who were watching from a hired launch. She was with them for about 15 minutes.
She told reporters they'd get a big surprise with the next thing she did, pleading with them to leave her alone. But far from appeasing the press, her appeals were greeted with derision.
The paparazzi actually set up home here for the whole summer. They're here for 3 months. She just never thought about it properly at all. And she was going to get caught within minutes, and that's precisely what happened.
Our royal correspondent, James Whittaker, said to her, look, do you want us to pull out? I will call my editor, because he knew that she and I had contact about this kind of thing before. And he said, I will call him and we'll pull out. And she said, no, I'm not asking you to do that. I just want to know how long you're going to be here. It was very precise what she was saying, rather confusing.
Perhaps not so confusing. While the boys were with Diana, their father, Prince Charles, was preparing a huge garden party for his mistress, Camilla Parker Bowles. The £50,000 bash was to be held on July the 18th at Highgrove, his place near Tetbury in Gloucestershire.
Nobody actually wanted to be disloyal to either side, and so it was a very difficult time. It was very much an attempt to put Charles and Camilla together as a unit, and there was definitely a PR exercise going on at that time, I felt.
Piers Morgan even published an extraordinary mock-up of what the pair might look like as man and wife.
And what we were saying was, look, we all know you're seeing Camilla. There's no secret. Everyone knows that. You've been apart from Diana for a long time. You're divorced. You're perfectly entitled to see her. Stop being so silly about it.
But bobbing around on the Med, Diana was far from happy that a woman who'd helped destroy her marriage should be rehabilitated.
And if you're Princess Diana and you want to get on the front page of the papers, then you go to a place where the photographers are and you look fantastic. And if you're going to look your best in your leopard skin bikini, then what better day to do it than Camilla Parker Bowles' 50th birthday? We all did the rather corny, perhaps, front pages of postcards from Diana in south of France, Happy Birthday, Camilla, with these stunning pictures, which I think she found very amusing.
There was no secret that she hated Camilla Parker Bowles, but I must admit that she was quite manipulative, I must say. She nearly always got what she wanted in a nice way.
If the palace had hoped Diana's divorce settlement amounted to a deal that she'd lower her profile, they were mistaken. The paparazzi were making their fortunes in the south of France, and actually, they'd missed the big story.